Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 260, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And we will be talking about more pre-MCU Marvel movies today. Lotus, are you getting sick of it?
What's a pre-MCU Marvel movie? I thought the first Marvel movie was Iron Man.
Get out. No, of course we for the last few weeks have been talking about and we had some other stuff happening in between, like we had Roberta Williams returning into the foray and all that kind of stuff, but we have some interesting things to talk about left here. We left off on the original Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie.
That's right.
But we have probably the most heart-wrenching, awful one that we had to talk about here. The third entries just didn't do well here. But the next one we're going after is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, which is just a goddamn bummer, man.
Yeah, because the movie was very good until it wasn't.
Yeah, so like half the movie's all right, and then all of a sudden it just fucks itself up.
Because the villain of the movie is Sandman.
Yeah.
But studio execs wanted Raimi to put Venom in the movie because Venom's awesome and people like Venom, even though Raimi's been working with The Lizard and Doc Ock, and his movies have been amazing. Maybe let the man fucking work, but no, they had to put Venom in it.
Yeah, and not only that,
it feels tacked on because it is tacked on.
But there's also Green Goblin 2, essentially.
Yeah, it's a mess. And
yeah.
he wasn't even... This made no sense. He wasn't even called Green Goblin 2, even though that's obviously what he is. It was something like Night Stalker or some generic-ass name.
I mean, I think he's just called New Goblin in this or something. I don't know, but I don't think he even ever calls himself anything. In the movie,
you never actually hear what he calls himself in the movie, which is all the more reason that it's strange that he's not just called the Green Goblin again.
Yeah, I don't know. Harry Osborn, I think, just called himself Green Goblin.
In the comics, yeah, he's Green Goblin.
I mean,
they call him Green
Norman
Goblin
Osborn
too.
was Green Goblin
too, but
and then Harry was was Green Goblin as well.
Yes.
But I think that it's a goddamn shame. I mean, it really, really sucks. I mean, that they had to stuff so much shit into this third movie, and the same thing happened to the X-Men movie. Really, I mean, they were trying to do
mess.
Yeah, they were trying to do basically what amounted to Apocalypse plus Hellfire Club plus Dark Phoenix all at once, kill everybody off for no fucking reason. Yeah, I don't know what to say about X-Men 3 other than Spider-Man. The Spider-Man movies were even higher quality than the X-Men movies, if you ask me. And
yeah, X2 was damn good, but Spider-Man 2 just
Spider-Man
kills.
2 is just one of the best superhero movies ever made in general. Coming after that, people were really excited for this third one because it had so many things going on with it, and Topher Grace as Venom. Venom is supposed to be a big burly dude. He's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be the opposite of Spider-Man in every way.
He's a weightlifter.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I will admit though that I found interesting. Topher Grace does not look anything like Eddie Brock, but I have to say his attitude. I bought it. I actually quite liked Topher Grace's acting in that movie. I mean, it was more of annoying bully rival in school, except it was in the workplace. That's a very different dynamic from what Eddie Brock in the comics had, but I liked Topher Grace's performance. It's just that
I don't think he was the problem with that movie. He was just underdeveloped. That was his problem.
That if you see a comic book picture of Eddie Brock, he's huge. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah. And his entire you need a whole movie basically to pen out why he hates Spider-Man so much.
That's the thing, and that movie could have existed. You can do that, but we've been working with Sandman because Eddie Brock's story is not overly complicated. Just start the movie with him instead, because the whole thing is
it didn't need Sandman in it.
Yeah, the whole thing is at least in this would have been reaching too far, I think, if we did this in the Sam Raimi movie, but the symbiote came from space. I can buy them not doing space, that's a little
Yeah,
much.
because
But the idea is that the symbiote went on to Peter Parker.
well, you know how he got the
Well, yeah, it's the
symbiote.
Secret Wars. It's a bunch of bullshit that we're never doing.
Yeah,
in the
it would
fucking
never
movies.
happen in the movies.
But the point is, like in the cartoon, it was like from the space shuttle or something. But
Yeah, it was J. Jonah Jameson's son brought it back in the space
yeah,
shuttle.
but the point is, the symbiote went onto Peter Parker, so he became like black costume Spider-Man, and it
Yeah.
enhanced his powers. But
Which makes sense.
it also greatly enhanced his emotions and made him way more likely to just
Be emo.
have a short temper and get angry and be dangerous. So eventually Peter Parker's like, dude, the symbiote's cool with the powers, but like I cannot live with this. It's turning me into like a terrible person.
Sure.
So he rejects the symbiote. Symbiote hates him. Meanwhile, Eddie Brock has nothing to do with the symbiote. He's working in the Daily Bugle because he just happens to also be working there. But Peter Parker eventually learns that some of his pictures for the newspaper were doctored. This leads to Eddie Brock getting fired. So that is Eddie Brock's like
Backstory.
he was at fault for this, but
Yeah.
Peter Parker is responsible for getting him fired. So Eddie Brock hates Peter Parker, symbiote hates Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Eddie Brock combines with the symbiote tells him Spider-Man is Peter Parker. What do you know? Now we have the double hate Peter Parker creature.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we have a bodybuilder powered up by the symbiote, and he really hates Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That's a rival. But instead, we started with the Sandman, which, by the way, was fantastic. The Sandman's portions of the movies were legitimately very good. And then Venom
they do kind of take the wind out of the sail when it comes to like Spider-Man actually having consequences over
that straight
Uncle
up made
Ben's
me mad.
death, though.
I was going
don't
to
like
mention
that.
that. The
Oh,
Sandman
okay.
story itself, legitimately good. More developed than the comics. In the comic, he was
Sure.
guy who robs banks.
He's just a
Get out of my
Sandman.
way. I'm going to push you over with my sand powers, you know? But in the movie, he was like doing something for his daughter or whatever, and the way he became Sandman was super tragic. That was looking like a good movie. But then we have to put Venom in it at like the halfway mark, and Venom gets no real developments. Topher Grace did hate Peter Parker. I'll give him that. But
He was just a dick, though, at work.
yeah, like they very much hastened it. He had a reason to dislike Peter Parker, but like it didn't feel as earned as like his life was screwed over like multiple ways. But yeah, what you were talking about the Sandman, that genuinely pissed me off because if you take anything away from Spider-Man, it's the main message of the entire series, which is with great power comes great responsibility. Uncle Ben
Also, Voltaire.
No, it's only from Uncle Ben. If anything, Voltaire ripped off of Uncle Ben. But Uncle Ben taught Peter Parker that lesson, and then that lesson paid off because Peter Parker didn't bother chasing that one criminal in the wrestling ring because he was like, whatever. Well, in the movie, the wrestling ring screwed over Peter Parker, so Peter Parker's like, well, I'll screw you over right
No,
back.
it
I'm not
happens
gonna
that
chase
way in every version, basically.
Well, no, in the comic, Peter Parker was just a dick. He's like, why should I chase that guy? He's not my problem.
Oh,
But in the Sam Raimi movie, like he had to fight Bonesaw and last for 3
Bonesaw?
minutes, but he KO'd Bonesaw in 1 minute. So the guy's like, I'm paying you only a third of what we promised. And Peter Parker's like, oh, fuck you. So when the robber robs that guy and runs away, Parker's like, whoops, looks like you got your comeuppance.
do you remember who plays that guy?
What, the cashier guy?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's Bruce Campbell.
No, it's not. Bruce Campbell's the announcer.
Oh, well.
Annoying cashier guy's some guy.
Oh,
Bruce
well,
Campbell's the MC.
he screws him over, though. He's the one who counts out the money to him.
No, he's not. It's not Bruce Campbell.
Oh, all right.
That's some other guy. But in any case, he screwed Parker, so Parker's like, well, how do you like it? But the fact that he let a robber go, that robber happens to run into Uncle Ben and try holding him up or whatever, and he shot him. So Peter Parker was not responsible. He paid for it. But in Spider-Man 3, what really sucked was that robber's not the guy who shot Uncle Ben. Sandman was the one who was there, and Uncle Ben was talking to him. And he was kind of getting to the point where he was going to talk him down. But then he heard some loud noise. It might have been the other robber firing a gun or something. I forgot what it was. But that startled the Sandman, who had his finger on the trigger. So he, like, reflexively twitched and accidentally shot Uncle Ben. So, like, Parker is either not responsible or less responsible for Uncle Ben's death, which is severe amounts of bullshit.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
That pissed me right off.
Also, I mean, this has to be mentioned. One of the most embarrassing scenes in any movie ever is the like the emo like the dance scene.
To the movie's to a degree of the movie's credit, I think it was like in context supposed to be stupid and embarrassing.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be like Peter Parker's supposed to realize how stupid
looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. You're not cool. You like this is stupid.
Well, what's kind of funny is that Into the Spider-Verse winked at that. Like, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just a train wreck, and I think even Gwen Stacy's somewhere in this movie somewhere.
No, she is.
Like,
that was something that I actually found that concerning because I like Gwen Stacy and I like her story.
Yeah.
But here's my big problem: Spider-Man 1 with the Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
Number 1, Gwen Stacy was the girlfriend before Mary Jane. Why was she before? Because she fucking died, and then Mary Jane was the second girlfriend.
No, it's the other way around.
No, Gwen Stacy fucking died. Like,
yeah, but
and then he married Mary Jane.
No, it didn't happen like that. Mary Jane is his first girlfriend, but they were off at when he and Gwen Stacy started dating.
But the thing is, what makes my comment at least make more sense, maybe not full sense then, but make more sense, is that Gwen Stacy famously died when the Green Goblin dropped her off a bridge.
Yeah.
Peter Parker swung to save her, and he caught her easily, but she was falling at like terminal velocity, and he didn't catch her with his hand. He caught her with the web. He fired a web at her, got her, but like she got whiplash from falling at rapid speed, and died from like, what did her neck break or something?
Whiplash, yeah.
Yeah, she died from severe whiplash. So Spider-Man like accidentally contributed to her death. I mean, she would have died anyway, but like
he
felt responsible because like he was the cause of the more immediate death. It's fucked up.
She also wouldn't have died if he hadn't been dating her.
That's true too, because when the Green Goblin knows that, he went after his loved ones. But in the first Raimi movie, we had that scene with the Green Goblin and Mary Jane, except Parker saved her. So it's like, oh, it's a subversion. But then in the third movie, we have Gwen Stacy. I'm like, where's this gonna go? How is this gonna work?
Exactly.
That was weird.
Yeah, no, it also reeked of like Raimi not liking what he was doing, because when he likes what he's doing, he does really
you
well.
Can tell.
Like,
yeah.
He when he has more control over what he's doing, it turns out really well. And because he's a boots on the ground kind of director,
Yeah.
But
instead, the third movie was all over the place with Parker's personal life being like a dick to the landlord and that landlord's daughter that we've never met until just now. Like you already mentioned, we have not one. I don't know if the original intent was 2 or what, but we have 3 villains. Yeah. It's just like, what do we do with all this?
You can't have 3 villains in a movie, and it's really tough to do 2 well. And the only one that I can think of that has done 2 well is
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, and that's the only one I can think of.
Because Batman Forever, it had its moments, and Batman and Robin was just like
Batman and Robin has a billion bad guys.
The main ones are Mr. Freeze and Ivy, but then Ivy kind of tangentially has Bane.
Yeah,
who's just number
zombie.
1 henchman, I guess.
Yeah, and he's basically a zombie in it.
Yeah,
which is insanely stupid, because Bane is one of the most diabolical villains because he has an intellect that matches Batman's.
Yeah, he's very intelligent.
Yeah, he is physically imposing and also mentally imposing.
And he discovered Batman's identity on his own.
Yeah, which only like 2 other people have done. Like Hugo Strange is like the other one.
Yeah,
so.
I was thinking Hugo Strange.
Yeah.
Because at least in Arkham City, I don't know about the comics, but Hugo Strange managed to figure it out in the game.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they kind of like, he's one of the earliest Batman villains, so like he figured it out like in like the 30s or something. Like
that's great.
Yeah, but anyway.
By the way, you know what I actually liked was there was a time in Spider-Man where the Sinister Six discovered Spider-Man's identity.
Yeah,
but they were actually able to get away with it not sticking because Spider-Man had like a 24-hour flu or something, and he was moving and fighting like shit, and like they beat him really easily, and Doc Ock was like,
This is
gotta admit that was disappointing. And then he takes off his mask and he's like, Peter Parker, my student? No wonder he fought like shit. This can't be the real Spider-Man. That makes no sense. So like, if anything, his identity is more of a secret because the villains quote know that he couldn't possibly be Peter Parker.
There was one. I was going to mention this. Spider-Man has so much potential because he has great villains, and
Yeah.
he and Batman have the best villains of in comic books. They just straight up. I mean, X-Men has good villains too, but they're a group, right? So like it's a little easier because you could have like somebody who can. Who wants to annihilate a single member of you know, the X-Men or whatever. But I mean, you can't get much better than Magneto. But I was going to mention that the Flash has a good rogues gallery too, and Captain Cold, his rogues gallery finds out his identity and says, no, we're not going to fuck with him. Because that's against our code.
Yeah, it's only business. It's
yeah, exactly.
I know you haven't seen this far in the series, but it's like Red Death in the Venture Brothers. He insists on keeping his persona life and his private life very distinct. And he's very intense about other people doing that too. And he is fucking terrifying if you try doing something that's like not by the book.
So like it's really kind of heartwarming to see something like that. It's just like Captain Cold, no, he doesn't want to fuck with you while you're at home. Like,
yeah, that's just poor taste. Yeah.
Moving on,
it's very Venture Brothers in that regard. Like, there's a way to do things. The villains have a literal rule book. You know, we have to go out and you it's best to do your speech like this because it looks good. Villains have good dramatic speeches. Everyone's got to be in the costume. Like, it's fantastic.
You can't prey on my arch nemesis or my
there was a villain that was ready to kill Rusty Venture right there, and Monarch's like, excuse me. It was amazing.
He's mine. But I love that. And this next one is the last pre-MCU Marvel movie. There are other Marvel movies that happen outside of the MCU after this.
Yeah.
But
like Into the Spider-Verse, as previously mentioned.
Correct, and there are other ones that do not tie into any of the other ones. And there are
like all the new X-Men movies, right?
I was gonna say there are plenty of X-Men movies left. Especially, they're the most notable.
Yeah, they're not MCU, but they're also not pre-MCU.
Yeah, I mean, they are kind of getting folded in.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, though, there's that really weird shenanigans where there's two Quicksilvers. There's the X-Men Quicksilver and there's the Marvel Universe Quicksilver.
Did you hear about that with WandaVision?
I think it tried merging them.
So what ended up happening is in WandaVision, she creates this alternate reality where her life is basically emulating different styles of sitcoms over the course of time, and like Quicksilver shows up one time as her brother, and she recast Pietro, and it is the other Quicksilver.
That's brilliant.
The actor who played Quicksilver in the X-Men films is now in the MCU.
I can't believe the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air foreshadowed WandaVision this whole time. It was a long con. They recast Amphibian.
But yeah, and also like mentioned it like the episode it happened. He goes, "Viv, you look different."
Yeah, one of my favorites was the start of, I forgot, season 3
like Baby
or
Nikki
4 or something. Like, yeah, I wonder who's playing Amphibian this season.
Yeah, and there's another one where like Baby Nikki is all of a sudden like a 6-year-old,
like 3 years old or so. And Will Smith like holds his hands out indicating size and then stretches it like, huh, what happened? It's amazing.
They just straight up
like that. Like, yeah, it's a TV show. One of my other favorite meta bits was, hey Uncle Phil, if we're so rich, how come we ain't got no ceiling? And it pans up to like the stage lights. It's great.
There's something similar to that in Boy Meets World. Did you hear about this one?
You might have told me something about this, but I think I forgot.
This is really fantastic. So they have a little sister. Like the two brothers have a little sister in the show, and like she basically gets written off the show at some point, and so at the end of her last episode, she just goes up to her bedroom, and like goes off stage.
Oh yeah, so she's just been existing in her bedroom for like years.
Well, there like 3 seasons later or something, she just like shows up again, and and they go, "Where have you been?" And she's like, "I've been in my room for a while."
Yeah, that's great.
Just like
that reminds me, there was some Simpsons character, and I don't even remember who it was, but they're like, "I thought you were dead." Nope. Okay.
Well, that happened in Family Matters. Is like the younger sister just disappears, like never mentioned ever again. Like in Happy Days, Richie had an older brother that just completely disappears, and is basically replaced by the Fonz. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But anyway, we have this final movie, and I haven't seen this one, and I won't.
Is this Ghost Rider 2?
This is Fantastic Four 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
So Ghost Rider 2 was during the MCU?
Yeah, so Ghost Rider 2 came out the same year as Captain America.
Okay, then. All right.
X-Men
so
First
we're not going
Class.
to talk about him pissing fire. All right, fine.
Well, we can do...
that's all I know about the movie. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, there are other notable movies. I mean, we have the second Punisher movie, or the other second Punisher movie.
Yeah, right.
Punisher Warzone it is a movie that happens after Incredible Hulk. But yeah, we'll talk about Fantastic Four and how every Fantastic Four movie is bad.
I gotta admit, I don't think this was the intent. It wouldn't make sense, but I kind of like the idea that there's a during MCU Punisher movie, and it's just not incorporated into the MCU because, like, even in the comics, nobody wants to associate with the Punisher. He's a fucking lunatic.
Well, there is an MCU Punisher. He's been a part of the Daredevil Netflix show, and he also has his own show. So yeah.
Huh. Well, what do you know?
There is an MCU Punisher. He's just not in the movies.
All right. Well, yeah, close enough then. No one in the movies would want to associate with him. I'll take it.
Yeah, he's part of what they call the Marvel Knights.
Yeah, that was like Ghost Rider, I think, might have started that.
Well, Marvel Knights is the Jessica Jones, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, that's true, but I think, like, that brand started with the Ghost Rider movie.
No, it starts with Daredevil.
That early?
No. Not the Ben Affleck Daredevil. The Netflix Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah. Marvel. There might have been a Marvel Knights brand on the Ghost Rider movie, but it's not the same.
Okay.
It's not the MCU Marvel Knights. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been like a branding thing versus like the group that is called Marvel Knights. Like
Marvel Knights was like the less powerful characters would get together, like Moon Knight, and they had their own and Daredevil.
It looks like the Marvel Knights movies. It looks like we do have Punisher, Warzone, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there were movies
the only
using
reason
the Marvel
I knew about
Knights branding
this was because Red Letter Media mentioned it. Like, remember when that existed?
Wow. Yeah, but Rise of the Silver Surfer is interesting because it's basically supposed to be, Silver Surfer is like a big early villain. Basically, he's a harbinger of Galactus.
And by the way, that's a very scary thing by himself because the Silver Surfer goes through space. He could breathe in space. He's very powerful. He could shoot laser beams.
He's one of the most powerful beings in the universe.
Yeah, like he could take out a team by himself.
Yeah.
And he's just the messenger.
He's an envoy.
That's amazing. Like that's like in, Return of the Jedi, Vader shows up and everyone's like sweating and he's like we'll double. What was it? Like we've been working really hard. It's just very difficult to build this Death Star in the time schedule you have. Well, perhaps you could tell that to the Emperor when he shows up. And they're like, what? We shall double our efforts. I hope so, for your sake. The Emperor is not as forgiving as I am.
The guy
the best
who
line of the
chokes
series.
people
Like,
for making mistakes.
He was force choking people throughout the entire previous movie. Oh, the Emperor's not as forgiving as I am. Like, what? So Silver Surfer, he's like a god tier character, and he's just the messenger for the real god tier character.
Yeah, and this movie it is very bad from all accounts. I've never seen it, but this is another one of this Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis. Yeah,
the
Doug
only
Jones.
thing I really know about it, well, two things, is that Silver Surfer, I believe, is played by Ray Park. Darth Maul, that guy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you never see Galactus. He's like a cosmic cloud. Like, oh
yeah, he's a cloud.
I would appreciate that if it were like we mentioned in Reactive Consciousness, like some Cthulhu being. Oh, you can't grasp his true form, but Galactus is a big guy.
Yeah, he's just a big purple man. A guy in a purple suit.
And to be fair, pre-MCU probably would have looked dumb as hell.
Yeah.
But the MCU movies made Loki not look stupid in his armor, so I have faith they could have done something with Galactus, but this is before that.
They probably will do something with Galactus, in fact. So keep in mind, like, the MCU now can have the Fantastic Four in it, and also, like, anybody like Galactus.
It'd be fun if Captain America were, like, out of commission for some reason, and Chris Evans just plays the Human Torch. That'd be the most fantastic thing.
Well, he is out of commission at this point in the MCU, so...
Oh, you're right. That would be amazing. Make it happen.
But yeah, he is out of commission, and there has since been another Fantastic Four movie that was even worse, apparently.
Well, apparently that movie had a vision, but then studio meddled with that. I don't know if the movie would have been good anyway, but...
I mean, Fantastic Four is a hard sell. And honestly, kudos to the MCU, because they have a lot of hard sell movies that turned out really well.
They sold Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man.
And Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, there aren't many good Doctor Strange books. There just aren't.
Well, honestly, though, with Doctor Strange, I think people know more about Doctor Strange than have actually read him. I would say Doctor Strange is less of a hard sell and more of... I can't believe they pulled it off, considering his comic subject matter.
Exactly.
How do you do the spirit realm and not make it look utterly ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, they even fought against Dormammu, and it was convincing.
Yeah,
it
was like even the first Thor movie. Like, how do you make the Rainbow Bridge not look stupid? And they made it. They did it.
Yeah. Well, they also hired, like, the best people in the business. They hired Kenneth Branagh was the director of that movie. I mean, like, a Shakespearean director, like a guy who's famous for directing Much Ado About Nothing. What was it? Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. He did the Murder of the Orient Express recently. Like,
very nice.
He's known for doing classical works of fiction, and they got him to do the first two Thor movies, maybe even the third. The third one's Taika Waititi. But yeah, they have the best people. Who's another one of the best people in the business. But, like, comedy wise.
By the way, one thing I just want to mention real quick about the first Thor movie. I forgot if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but the final boss of the first Thor movie, that giant, like, robot looking thing.
He's lame.
Well, no, but the thing was, there was lost potential in this, because my dad used to read Thor comics back in the day.
Yeah.
And they never say this thing's name out loud, but I think it was implied that thing is the Destroyer.
It is, yeah.
And my dad had told me that the Destroyer is this would put Hulk to shame, but it's apparently so strong that it can lift Mjolnir, which is, like, utterly ridiculous. I would have loved to have seen them pull something like that. That would have been mind-bending. Because the Hulk famously, like, couldn't lift it in the Avengers when he was hulked out and furious. That was that scene where he's chasing...
Only two people in the MCU can can lift Mjolnir.
Yeah, but they're worthy. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, Hulk just brute force, but he couldn't even move it. And apparently the Destroyer could lift it, which is ridiculous.
Well, I think they get by on a technicality. They don't have like a soul. They're not a being. They're kind of just like an automaton. So
that might be it, but that's still terrifying.
Yeah,
it could theoretically wield.
It's a magical, enchanted armor thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it gets by on that.
Okay.
Because I think it's powered by Odin anyway. So like that's.
Okay. I was actually just going to mention until you just said it was powered by Odin. I was just going to mention what's stopping anyone from taking a stupid little like just a drone and just picking up Mjolnir.
No, it's powered by Odin.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, could the Vision pick up Mjolnir? I forget. I don't think so.
Idea.
I don't think so. But Captain America can.
Yeah, you can now. Yeah.
But he could in the comics as well.
Oh, cool.
He's just like doesn't want to.
Which ironically makes him all the more worthy.
Exactly. But yeah, we have so the next movie in all of this is Iron Man, so that's the first MCU movie, and shortly followed by Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of other movies that we could talk about that are non-MCU Marvel movies. Punisher Warzone I wanted to get to eventually in a discussion, but we'll probably move on to a different subject just to
change it up.
Mix things up. But yeah, we have the X-Men movies that go on from here. The X-Men
First
Origins
Class and onward. Yeah.
X-Men Origins is the next one.
Oh, you're right, Origins with that incredibly convincing claw animation.
It's terrible. But First Class is really good. The Wolverine. Oh man, I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, that was the one with the not Silver Samurai.
Yeah. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, like you had said. I still kind of want to see that.
Yeah, I'm morbidly curious. Have you seen the transformation sequence in this when he first goes like Ghost Rider?
No.
Look it up. It's very easy to find on YouTube. It's Nicolas Cage. It's like, well, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but like, you know, the rapidly shaking your head, like that kind of thing for the transformation. It's Nicolas Cage just going full ham, and it is the greatest thing you've ever seen.
I think, yeah. I mean, other than there's also the Amazing Spider-Man movies. The rest of the X-Men movies, obviously, up through Logan, and then the second Dark Phoenix movie that also wasn't
I forgot
good
about that one.
Yeah,
and as we've mentioned, the Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. You also have the New Mutants, which is the last.
Nobody knew
X-Men movie
or talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last X-Men series movie, and also Deadpool. I can't forget about that.
That's true. Deadpool 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, they're non-MCU movies, or now they will be though. So yeah. So I guess we can go on to fan stuff then.
Sure. So Living Corpse left a few comments. Spiders are scary in how diverse they are in the way they evolved. The swimming ones use their own web as a scuba tank to trap air. There's a spider with metal fangs. There's a spider that throws its web on top of prey from above like a net. There's trapdoor spiders, etc. There's even some that spit out a sticky substance from their mouth to slow down prey. Not a web, but close enough.
Wow.
And then another comment. I actually remember this too. The first X-Men movie, it's Rogue, asks Wolverine if it hurts when his claws come out, and he says, like, yes, every time. Animals with retractable claws like cats have holes in their paws for their claws to be stored or come out. Evolution sadly did not give Logan that. To be fair, Logan's power is healing. The claws were forcibly induced on him.
No,
so
he has bone claws naturally.
Well, in the movies.
In the comics too. I have the X-Men origin book or the.
No, I'm talking about the movie though. Like he had adamantium. It was adamantium stuff.
Yeah, but he has bone claws.
Did they ever address that?
Yeah, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he has bone claws when he's a child.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a retroactive thing, because it looked to me they were just blazed. That was it.
Well, they're covered. They're bones that are covered in all. His bones are still there. They're just covered in adamantium.
Fair enough. I mean, it didn't look that way in the movies. It just looked like knives coming out of his hands. What can I say?
Yeah. No, he has bone claws. Those are he has two powers. He has bone claws and ultra healing ability. Yeah, and strength, I
Okay.
guess.
All right,
Yeah.
because I thought it was just the healing and the bone claws were like a little touch, or not the bone claws, but the claws were just an extra touch from the Weapon X program.
No, no. I mean, Sabretooth also has he has claws in his hands. He has
Yeah,
like retractable fingernails,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
basically. But and he's his brother? Question mark, half brother
Yeah,
maybe.
some
Yeah,
funky.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. But anyway, yeah, considering the hard life he's had, it's easily the least amount of pain he's experienced,
Yeah.
physically and emotionally. Well, yeah, he had fucking liquid metal poured onto a skeleton. That's gonna be the worst thing ever.
Also, he was abused as a child
Yes.
severely, and also
And,
neglected and abused by basically everyone.
and apparently, Sabretooth had a shitty childhood, too.
Oh, even worse.
Yeah.
It,
I remember there was a part in the 90s cartoon series where there eventually came a point where his father figure was like ousted from his like anti-mutant hate group because it was revealed that his own kid was Sabretooth, and they were and like so he got kicked out. They were like, what the fuck, after all this you're the father of a mutant? So like he goes back home and Sabretooth is just like waiting for him there in casual wear. It's like, well, hello there. And you're like, oh fuck. And you don't see what happens.
yeah, I really recommend the X-Men or the Wolverine Origins comic. It's very good. It's really cool.
And
Definitely
then
recommend it.
one more comment: game over screens. Resident Evil 2 and 4. They both had different death animations depending on what killed you before saying you're dead.
Sure.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 was really big on that.
Sure.
And then 4 took that idea and ran with it. Resident Evil 4 has a U3. Yeah, cutting you in half. I forgot about that with its like scissor tail thing. Eternal Darkness has the text say the darkness has won if one of the heroes died,
Yeah.
unless you play Pious and dies. Then the text says the mysterious voice is calling him away for the next chosen one. I didn't even know about that because it's very hard to die as Pious because that whole area is a tutorial segment. If you die in the final boss fight with Pious, you get a cut scene of him saying, "Fool, I spit at thee. The darkness shall be eternal." Yeah, I forgot about that. I have seen that. I forgot about that. And then finally, both Godzilla Battle Legends and Super Godzilla have a cool game over screen referencing the end of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, where he's laying on the seafloor before he opens his eyes, and they're glowing blue if you choose to continue. Though he's not at the bottom of the ocean for Super Godzilla's game over. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know those.
I need to look into some kaiju. I sadly am not well versed in Godzilla at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I need to watch the OG one. I own it, but I need to go
The
back
only
and see.
Godzilla movie I've seen is the 1998
Yeah,
one.
me too.
So it's by default the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
Also
Also
the
the
worst.
worst, but it's the best. And then the question, we do not have questions, so I'm asking one. What are our favorite video game opening scenes? I'll throw one out for an example, and this one's kind of cheating because it requires a little gameplay to get to it. But Parasite Eve, when you go into Carnegie Hall, and then
How do you get there?
what the fuck do you think? You walk in the front door. I mean, practice. Practice. But you like when you get in there and you're watching this opera, but the opera singer has been possessed by mitochondrial Eve. So as she's singing,
Yeah.
people in the audience just start spontaneously combusting. One guy on fire like stumbles and falls into the curtain, so the whole curtain behind the singer just goes up in flames, and she continues singing like nothing's happening. It is an amazing scene.
I mean, this is from the same era, but very well deserved. Final Fantasy VII has one of the best openings of any video game ever. There's
The
a
whole
reason why
run on
it's
just bombing mission, whatever. I
yeah,
forgot what the place was called. Shinra.
yeah. You're blowing up one of the reactor cores.
Yeah, that whole and the music is very engaging.
Yeah, and you're also running through it, and it feels intense, even though it's really easy in reality. But
Yeah, but like, yeah, what is happening in the story is very intense.
Yeah,
And
and
plus you're brand new, so you feel like, oh man, as you're doing it.
yeah, that one has to be like one of the best open. Plus, Midgar is just a fantastic setting for a
Yeah,
video game.
yeah,
In fact, I'm one of the rare people that actually thinks that the game doesn't live up to after Midgar, because I think Midgar is what makes that game unique. So
yeah,
like going to other locations, like towns and shit. Like I don't care about like the rest of the world. I like this cyberpunk, like
yeah.
crazy, like dystopian area. That's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of why like I'm really digging the remake, because the remake all takes place in Midgar.
Yeah, it's a whole game
So
of just Midgar.
yeah, it's just Midgar. I really like that. So I think that like where they ask you your name and all that too, and you get to choose your name.
Yeah.
That's just it's just so enthralling. I really really love that.
Oh, and Shenmue's opening is also iconic when you walk in to the dojo and you see
Oh
your
yeah,
father fighting Lan Di,
sure.
and just like the entire series all comes from this moment. Where you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I want revenge against the man who killed my father. And that the animation and graphics in that scene, they still look very good today. They were just groundbreaking for their time.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where they tie the two games together.
Oh, when you're Richter,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
always forget
that's
about
really
that.
amazing.
That's a very clever idea. Oh, you know what? Just in terms of pure cutscene, you ever played Onimusha 3?
Never played the Onimusha games at all, really.
The opening movie, like press new game, watch movie of Onimusha 3. It's like 3 or 4 minutes,
Like the Jean
and it
Reno
is
character and all that.
so crazy. Oh, Jean Reno, you do eventually see Jean Reno, but like the just Samanosuke dealing with this this army, like there's this massive army moving across the grounds, which includes, it's like the Oliphants from Lord of the Rings. There's this giant insectoid thing that itself has an interior where soldiers hang out. It's like a living building or something, and you invade that and you're fighting goons. It is crazy. Like that opening is one of the best things I've like that might be my favorite video game opening. And like Onimusha 3, it's not my favorite game. It's a very good game, but that opening movie is like untouchable.
I really like the beginning of Arkham Knight.
Oh, the third. Oh yeah,
Yeah, where they
with the Joker,
with the Joker being cremated. I think
and you
that's
don't
like
even
really
realize it's a
fantastic.
thing. That the
Yeah,
screen just sits there until you press a button and you cremate him.
yeah. No, that was just like holy shit. This
That
game
got
is
me.
starting off like
Yeah,
wow.
that's very good. I forgot about that. That's very good. Oh,
Yeah, that's
also,
another good one.
you know what's also good is Bioshock 1, where as you go down to the depths, you see all these gorgeous sights and like a whale swimming by in the underground or the underwater city. But that whole speech, like, who is entitled to the sweat of his brow? Is it, uh,
Yeah.
like, what was it? Like, yeah, is man entitled to the labor from the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in
In
Russia. It
religion.
belongs to
Yeah.
everyone. No, yeah, no, says the man and behind the pulpit. It belongs to God. Like it's amazing.
Um. Yeah. I really one of the best introductions of any video game ever was Uncharted 2.
When you're in the train,
Yeah, the
yeah,
train's like disintegrating around you and you're climbing up it.
you're messed up and the train's messed up, and you have to climb out of the train before it drops into the infinite abyss.
Yeah,
That's very good.
it reminds me of that scene in Lost World where they're like hanging over the cliff.
Yes,
Uh,
and the train car falls around them. Yes.
yeah, no, that is one of the best beginnings to any video game ever.
That's very good.
Really love that. Yeah, there's a lot of really good ones. I mean,
Oh,
jeez.
you know what's not bad? Like it like in a vacuum, it's kind of like okay by this point, but at the time it was pretty impactful. Was the opening of Demon Souls, where you play the tutorial level, and if you die, then it kicks you to where the game really starts. But when you make it to the boss, you're really supposed to die, and you're like, oh, this game's gonna be hard, and then it kicks you to the where the game really starts.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you manage to beat him, you enter an actual unbeatable area that insta kills you just to prove a point, and you're like, oh, this game's hard, and there are enemies that are that big and intimidating, and then you get to where the game really starts. Like, that was quite good.
Phantom Pain. I forgot about that. Phantom Pain.
Oh, okay.
Phantom Pain's opening scene is
In the hospital?
is heart wrenching and terrifying. It's you wake up and you are a paraplegic, and the hospital around you is getting attacked. You don't know what the fuck is going on, and you can't walk because you just came out of a coma.
That's brutal.
So you are fucking terrified, trying to get away from like literally somebody who could spit fire.
Yeah.
Like it's the man on fire. Yeah. Phantom Pain is such a lost potential because the gameplay is awesome and the story is awesome, but it just peters out because it's unfinished.
Yeah.
But like, what is there is fucking great, and that introduction scene is probably my favorite of all time in any video game ever. I really love it that much.
Well, actually, in that regard, what's also good is Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's showing you how much the technology has advanced since Metal Gear Solid 1.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Where like you get to aim in the first person. Well, I guess you could have done that in MGS1 with the Nikita, but you could just freely aim in the first person. Depending which way you look up in the sky, you might get the water raining on your face.
Too? Doesn't he like just teleport onto that tanker? Like, isn't that?
No, because Snake can't teleport.
Yeah, but like, doesn't he appear in just like a flash? Like, what
kind
happened?
of. It's an homage to Terminator.
Yeah.
Where he's wearing a cloaking
device. Oh, is it a cloaking device? Oh,
yeah, and he jumps off of maybe it's a helicopter or whatever, but he lands and he like slowly gets up like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he comes out of the time machine where like the electricity is all around him and you're like, whoa. So you got the stealth camouflage. Like I said, winds actually affects whether water flies in your face when you're looking around or not. That whole tanker level is basically like, look at what we can do with our new technology. Like when you fight Olga, she like blinds you with a light, you shoot the light out, she drops like a flapping cloth in front of you, you shoot it to like make it fly off. It's like insane.
Yeah.
What's also really good, by the way, the opening movie isn't really anything spectacular, but like the concept of Silent Hill 4, The Room. You are locked in your room with all the chains on your door being on the inside of the room. You can't open your window. You pound on it, it doesn't break, and your sound is muffled, inexplicably. If you look out the window, you could see a billboard with a phone number on it. If you try going to the phone and calling that number, you just hear like zombie sounds on the other end. You just hear like, and then you hang up and you're like, ugh. And then you go into your bathroom and inexplicably there's just a hole in the wall that you could crawl through to get to your first level. And as you play the game more and more and beat more and more levels, the hole gets bigger and wider and you're like, where are we going with this? It's like, it's not the best Silent Hill game, but that premise is so intriguing.
How about probably the most famous beginning to any first-person shooter that I can think of, Half-Life's introduction.
Oh, where it's actually story
and Half-Life 2
instead of like level 1, go.
And Half-Life 2 as well. So
wake up and smell the ashes.
Yeah, Half-Life 1 was a stark contrast to anything that came before it because first-person shooters weren't really weren't story based at all, and they didn't take place in a contiguous world for the most part. Very few of them did. So like to have a game, games that came from Quake basically. Quake, was like Doom. It had levels, Same thing with Doom with Quake 2 and Half-Life. It runs off of a modified Quake 2 engine. So the game gets introduced and you are seeing through Gordon Freeman's eyes the entire time. And that is the point, and you are in control of him the entire time, and you are in this like you are going through this the your first day at work essentially, so you are just getting a an introduction to the environment of where you're going to work at the Black Mesa facility. So you're going through that and you're watching people just do their job, but you're actually getting a preview of areas that you will see decimated later that you will be walking through, and it's just amazing. I mean, before that, there was nothing like that. Everything was told in narrative or something.
Like text screens or whatever.
This is told by environmental storytelling. A lot of what happens in this game you infer just by what's going on, rather than having it told to you.
Actually, you know what that somewhat reminds me of? But this relies a little more on the knowledge of the previous game, is Resident Evil 2. Because in Resident Evil 1, you're in the mansion and there's zombies and it's spooky. Resident Evil 2, you're a different character. And, number one, immediately, you're outside. You're on the street. Vehicles are on fire. There are way too many zombies. They go down without terribly much trouble unless you're playing on a higher difficulty. But there are tons of zombies, and you're like, no way. And you need to make your way toward a building, which is just as messed up as the streets. So, like, this is not just the mansion incident. Like, the whole city is in trouble at this point. Like, things have clearly escalated since the previous game. So that's a pretty fantastic way of starting it.
How about Doom 2016, where they try to give you an info dump and he just, like, fucking rips
That was fantastic. It's too bad that doesn't happen in the rest of the game, where you are actually stuck listening to info dumps, but that opening scene was fantastic.
He's just like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna kill
done.
I'm angry, and I'm gonna
kill demons. You sit back and watch as I kill demons. Don't get in my way. And it was the same thing with later in the gameplay. You need to harness the energy from this thing, so be sure to unplug it very carefully. Just like break it. You're like, nope, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you doing? And you just keep breaking stuff.
Well, you also get the feeling that the Doomslayer just knows that the guy who's talking to you is up to no good.
Yeah, like, don't worry, we have hell under control. Do you?
Yeah,
it's
no,
hell,
you don't.
Idiot.
No, it's fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like, you are a fucking
you're
robot
a fool for
man,
yeah.
brain man,
Yep.
and you're up to no good.
Get out of here.
But I think we named some really good ones. I mean, definitely respond with some of your like favorites.
There's some real good stuff to be had.
Yeah, because there's like it's so impressive. Mother 3, Jesus Christ!
I was thinking about that. The conclusion of the prologue is one of the more impactful scenes that had hit me.
Jesus Christ! A game that could make you cry, man.
Oh yeah,
several times too, and you would never expect it.
It does not mess around.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few games that grip with a profound loss as well as that game. It's just wonderful in its execution. It manages to do it without being hokey somehow.
Yeah, considering all the goofy stuff that's in the Mother games, like Mr. Saturn and stuff like that, the fact that it's still that impactful is impressive.
It's wonderful, and it's also like it isn't effortless, but it seems like it is. Like,
yeah,
a lot of it is done without dialogue. Like, you just
especially
see it,
that prologue part.
You see how the characters are affected by what is actually happening physically, and it's heart-wrenching, awful.
By the way, one other thing I think I'll mention. And again, this is kind of cheating because it's not the opening, like not the immediate opening, but Snatcher, because you go into the workplace and you get acquainted with everybody. That's the real opening. But the thing is, you're on your first day. You are Harrison Ford in Blade Runner. Your job is to find evil robots and kill them. I've never done it before, but I think I'm pretty good. I'm good enough to get the job. So, two things. Number one, if you feel like looking up Snatchers and like previous Junkers in the computer, you will see that all the previous people with the position are dead, with the exception of one who is in a coma and has no signs of waking up anytime soon. And you're like, oh. But they're like, don't worry, we have a really experienced Blade Runner. They're called Junkers. We have a really experienced Junker who's going to be like your mentor. So he's at this factory. Your job is to meet him there. And when you meet him there...
Gibson.
Yeah, John Jack Gibson. So, like, each of you is equipped with, like, a little robot buddy. Yours is called Metal Gear. They're being cute. And his was, like, what? Little John?
Little John.
I think. So you go up to where you're supposed to meet Mr. actually good at his job, Junker. And Little John is fucking destroyed. And you're like, oh, well, where's John Jack Gibson? And then you see him sitting against the wall with his own head in his lap.
Twisted off. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, twisted the fuck off in one clean twist.
Yeah, so whatever did that, are they still around? If they are, it's my job, but I kind of hope they aren't, because this is the guy who actually knows what he's doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. It's like the scariest thing.
Conversely, the original Prey from 2006 also has a fantastic opening. Kind of similar to Half-Life in a way, but you start off your normal day at the bar, running the bar, and then all of a sudden, aliens come and abduct everyone and like suck everybody up. And you see this all first person, and you avoid getting processed into this this big machine that just eats people. Like, the spaceship runs on people. Like,
wow.
It's fucked up. It's like, it's like the most Cthulhu thing I can think of is having a spaceship that is powered by like biomatter.
Yeah.
It literally is processing people so it can be used they can be used as fuel, and you're watching this happen. Like, all the people in your town
and you're just like, oh.
are being processed, and you are being fed along this conveyor belt along with like everybody else who is trapped and getting like processed while you're doing that. And
that's fucked. That's like the end of Half-Life 2, where you're going through the factory and you see everyone becoming the Combine.
Yeah, no, same kind of thing. Yeah, but
although,
this is just...
You know what you just reminded me of is the opening of Doom 3, where, say what you will about Doom 3, but that opening was great.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
When you're in the space station where it's, like, operational, but then somebody's typing stuff on the computer, I think I'm getting a signal from this other dimension. And then, like, lost souls are flying through people, and they're becoming zombies, and computers are breaking, and you're like, and you're like the one person who's not affected. You're like, oh, geez. Which also reminds me, I have not actually seen this game, but I remember, Spoonie back in the day online describing it in a very basic way, which greatly entertained me. It was one of the SMT games. I forgot if it was like Nocturne or if it was like Digital Devil Saga or something, but he was saying like you're just sitting there in a bus depot and the world just ends and you're just sitting there like, whoa, what? Like, what do I do now? Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, there are countless ones, but I think we touched upon some really good ones. I mean, the opening to System Shock 1, oh man.
That's true, that's a good one.
Hacker, let's just...
Well, the narration of that is what makes it work, because Shodan turns into Shodan as we know her, where she's the narrator of the cutscene. Like, the hacker then activated this thing which bothered government officials, and then... the computer, I gained awareness, and you're like, oh, fuck, that's the villain of the game. It's the greatest transition. It's like that. I mean, the graphics don't hold up, but the audio absolutely holds up. Oh. And one last thing, which I have no experience with, but apparently the opening of Far Cry 3 and 4 are quite iconic.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Voss and with Wait for Me to Take Care of Something, with Pagan Min.
Yeah, Pagan Min's even... I think he's even better to some degree, because you can mess around with that because they defy your expectations. Like, if you do what he says, you get like a...
Yeah, you can actually wait for several minutes for him to come back and the game just ends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's other stuff you could do. You could choose to just fucking shoot him. Like, there's things that you can do in that game that are unexpected. I also forgot the original Prey, or Prey. I mean, not. I'm not saying it right. Portal. I'm sorry. Portal. Portal 2 actually has the better opening out of the two of
That
them.
opening is amazing.
Like just when you're when you're awakened by Wheatley, and you like the room that you're in basically disintegrates because it's part of like a big like battery of rooms.
And when it says like amount of time that's passed and like the counter just goes crazy,
just disintegrates.
And I also like the very beginning where Wheatley's like, well, let's test your like physical abilities because you've been out for a while. Can you jump for me? And then it's like press A to jump, and then you jump. Can you say hello? Like press A to say hello, and you press A and you just jump again, and he's like, it's probably fine. Don't worry about it. It's like super concerning.
What's great is if you listen to the developer commentary of that, which I absolutely recommend doing, they reveal just how focus tested like each of the things that he said is. It's like they painstakingly made that entertaining, and it almost makes you go, wow, like they tried really hard at making this game.
Yeah.
Which I feel kind of bad for them because like it should feel effortless to make an entertaining game, but like Portal 2 is just one of those perfect games.
Yeah, they hacked away at it forever, and it shows.
There's really like you can't say anything about it. Like it is just so good, and the cinematic quality of it, even though you're in first person view the entire time. I maybe it's just Valve games, man. Like they just know what the fuck they're doing, and then they just stopped, I guess, because the pressure is just so immeasurable. For them to keep. Portal 2 is the last one, right? Portal 2 is the last Half-Life game, I think, right?
Well, Alex.
Oh yeah, well the game that barely anybody could play. I forgot about that. That apparently is amazing, but I sure the hell wouldn't know because
I can't afford that computer.
I can't afford the fucking thing that you need. Like you need a $1,200 like helmet. Yeah, but anyway. I think we did pretty good there.
Yeah, that's probably good for now. Yeah. Even if we can think of others, like all right,
exactly. No, we got a lot of good, really best ones of all time in there, if you ask me. But yeah, that was good. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. Last couple weeks, Lotus has had to come up with them. Don't make him do it again. He doesn't want to do
that. Coming up with questions sucks. You do it. Oh, wait.
What are we paying you guys for? Well, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for a sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you were interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch everybody for another episode of Reactive on Tuesday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.